So I'm Dane from To the Grave. Thanks for having me. Firstly, plug my band To the Grave. The rest of them aren't here, but they're not very interesting anyway. And they did, however, make a great record, and that's coming out on Friday. Director's cuts. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Beautiful, Dane. Thanks for joining us today, my friend.
Thank you.
As you say, To the Grave, drop your new album, Director's Cuts, this coming Friday, February the 24th. So how are you feeling about it?
Mate, I'm stoked. I guess I used to get really nervous around this time when releasing stuff, and I guess there's so many hands in the pot now, kind of making everything just as stress-free as possible. I realized a lot of that was just the stress of kind of doing it myself and like, what did I fuck up?
Or how much did I fuck up?
Exactly. But it's all like lately, the past couple of records have come together really nicely in the last, few weeks when everything would usually fucking fall to shit if it was me handling it. So I get real excited now around this time and just kind of sit on my hands and go, well, fuck, what do I do now? Like, you know what I mean?
Bad way to be.
Yeah, like doing all the media and stuff, and it's like, but fuck it, it's still got a few days to like a few sleeps to kill, and almost feels like Christmas, when you're a kid.
True, eh?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view and what you're going for with it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the boys, they all really love their heavy shit, so that had to be the biggest pillar, I guess. Was try to do things that are, how do I put this? I mean, deathcore itself, it's blending hardcore and death metal and shit like that. So I guess we're trying to do that with as many other influences as possible that also kind of keep people engaged and interested in shit like that. So like a lot of, might sound weird, like hip hop influence and stuff at least goes into what I do, and I know the boys, that's rubbed off on the boys a little bit, trying to make room for that, so there's not necessarily like rap parts on the album or anything like that, but just studying both, like the way that they do vocals and things like that, and the way that they map things out. I try to do a bit of that, whereas the music, yeah, just keep it as claustrophobically heavy as possible, and then just do what we can to make it interesting. Maybe that's just our brains getting fried enough and coming up with dumb shit, but yeah, a lot of it stuck to the wall, I guess. So
yeah, cool. And I think before we go on to, because you confused me a little bit when I first got the press release, but the name Director's Cuts, like it's nothing to do with movies or anything like that, is it?
well, it is and it isn't, right? Like it confused a lot of people, I think, more than I thought. And then when I saw the confusion, I was like, yeah, that's kind of obvious, because the last thing we kind of released was a like a remastered version of our record prior to that. So everyone's seeing director's cuts, they're like, fuck, have they just done that again? Like, but added more crap to it. Kinda. So director's cuts, the title comes from the concept. The concept basically being that, we're all directors of a horror movie, the horror movie being the kind of shit that goes on behind closed doors, all that kind of stuff, yada yada. So yeah, a bit of a play on the words. I thought it was clever.
Quite confusing.
Yeah.
The press release calls it your heaviest work to date. Like, I know you've only had the one album plus a remix out, but would you agree with that statement?
Heaviest release to date?
Yeah.
I would say definitely thematically.
Yeah.
if you can, you know, put a, if you can measure that, but also I think it stretches both ways, right? Like it stretches. The last thing we did was probably an hour. If you want to sum it up real quickly, it was an hour of pretty, you know, use the word claustrophobic again, like just deathcore for, yeah, like I said, an hour, which is a lot, right? So we're trying to think, what can we do that's still within the realm of that, that maybe isn't always so heavy, right? Like, but a lot of parts definitely are. I think, yeah, definitely the pendulum swings both ways, if you will. Like,
Yeah.
gets heavier than we potentially ever have been, and then maybe I don't like the word softer, but you know,
Yeah, not as heavy then, we'll say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It gets a bit more melodic in some parts than maybe we have been before, which is like I think's cool. Symphonic, all those words.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it continues your commitment to being proactive with animal rights and environmental responsibilities, mate, which is commendable. But overall, mate, like how effective and how important do you think music can be as a weapon?
Man, that's a great question. I might be biased because I personally always saw music as something that like it spoke to me a little bit. And I think it speaks to, especially in metal, right? Like tends to be a thing that draws in the outcasts, and then we dive pretty deeply into like, okay, shit, these guys are speaking to me. You know, when I was in high school, it was bands like Slipknot, Rise Against, all that kind of stuff. So like I had such a connection with those bands that I'd obviously delve into the lyrics, what they're singing about, and almost instantly just was passionate about that by virtue of them being passionate about that. And so I think music has a crazy effect on people, and then the message it carries, it's almost like, mate, you got to obviously you got a bit of a responsibility to entertain people, but also if the world is as fucked as it is, then with the platform we have, yeah, definitely try to connect through it, because it's definitely possible.
Mm. You picked a
Yeah,
great example there when you used Slipknot. Like, how good is Corey Taylor as a lyricist, mate? Like, I can sit there for hours and read through some of his lyrics.
mate, right. And then 20 years later, you'll be listening to something, it'll hit like the meaning of it'll hit you in a different way. You'll be like, fuck, that is clever, or like, fuck, that's it's pretty sad. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, I really like that. Or like, I think I use Rise Against. They're a band for me that I listen to a lot. Didn't maybe didn't delve as far into the lyrics, and then again, yeah, 15, 20 years later, you listen to some of these songs, know what they're about, and you're like, fucking hell, they were really trying to get my attention with this, and yeah,
It's a
I
beautiful
love
thing, isn't
that.
it? Beautiful thing with music.
Exactly.
Hmm. So to date, you've released the songs Cut Off the Head, Red Dot Sight, and Acts of Kindness from the album. So would you say that they're a good sonic representation of the album overall?
I think so. I think when we picked the singles, we were pretty fresh off writing all the songs, and we were like, okay, well, these have to get slotted in this kind of spot or whatever. Um, and over a while, I'm pretty sure some of like the rest of the album changed a little bit, while those three singles kind of remained the same, which yeah, uh, to answer your question, I'd say definitely, but also like leaves. I think if it left you with a lot to be desired, then you'll probably still find a bunch of what you were looking for on the record, which I think is cool enough.
Yeah, works for me. And the album it also features monstrous, catchy hooks in parts, mate, which many people don't actually associate with the kind of extreme metal that you play. Is it difficult to get something hooky out of music so heavy?
Good question. I I find it like it's a really fun challenge. You kind of how do I say it? Get a bit too big for your boots and start writing shit that's like, man, maybe people could like chant to this or whatever. And like, I think that's just from my perspective, writing lyrics and vocals and stuff like that. You start to obviously just dream about like, yeah, fuck playing in front of like an arena or festival, and would this go off? I think the boys do that too with their choruses. Just trying to write stuff like, yeah, hooks are a funny one where I think how we started doing that was writing really fun parts and then going, oh, well, I guess it makes sense for it to repeat. We're not really like music nerds, for lack of a better term, but we're like, we know when something needs to repeat. We know when something, if it grabs us, it'll probably grab other people because we're pretty critical of like our music and metal in general, I guess we are, just getting older. So yeah. I don't know if that's the question, but
yeah, that'll do. And the band's also got a bit of a new lineup too, bro. So can you introduce us to the new guy?
Sure. Yeah, so we got Lukey in about, oh good fuck. COVID really fucks my perspective on
doesn't it?
Time of everything. But yeah, a good couple of years ago now is when he like kind of we had him ready to go, and then there was a show in Sydney. We had him ready to play, and that fell through the week of the show just because of a COVID blow up or whatever. But yeah, a good couple of years now. He's settled in nicely. I think he's like over the moon, but also if you ask him, probably stressing a little bit because a bunch of his riffs are about to get shown to the world. There's a lot on the record that he wrote that maybe hasn't been in the singles. That might have been a lot of Jack. But I think it's some of the coolest shit we've done. So I'm really excited for him to get his moment.
Very cool. And To the Grave recently finished a European tour too, mate, with Shadow of Intent, Enterprise Earth, and Angel Maker. How did that go?
We did too, didn't we?
That was only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't
it? Yeah. We got back. Let's see, 2 weeks ago now, almost. Crazy, mate, insane. A bunch of us are still like adjusting, and because it was such a harsh adjustment the first time. You get over there, you basically live in a bus for a month and just have to get used to the snow, and then we come back here, get smacked with 30 degrees. Fucking but it was insane, man. The crowds over there are wild. Bit of culture shock for all of us, but it was cool. Like the first time most of us had traveled that far. So
did you take your Aussie metal teddy bears with you to keep you company?
Mate, we had limited space, so we took 2 jars of squeezy Vegemite. Good American repellent. They hated it. So
how shit is Marmite, but
mate, I disagree with most spreads that aren't Vegemite, to be fair. So like
good call, but Marmite is shit. I don't know how they can compare it to Vegemite in the slightest.
Mate, if I heard anybody compare it, it'd be on, because
it'd be war. And you guys got any Aussie runs planned for when the album comes out?
Mate, we're getting it all worked out, I guess, literally as we speak. Behind the scenes, all that. There's trying to get us over to the States this year. Like, we got our visas sorted and stuff like that. I had to go in for a surgery pretty recently that halted a bunch of those plans, but trying to get into the States, and then at some point this year we'll definitely big Aussie run. So
it was exciting, mate. All right, Dane, well, thanks for your time, bro. Director's Cut is out this Friday, February 24th, and everything Dane says about it is true. It's brutal as fuck. It's music that can almost cut your head off, bro. So well done.
Fuck yeah, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Control
see the cycle suffering police.